Are there any better words than those three to the ears of a closet crossdresser for Sam Simons? The answer was no. A free day to take his time with his makeup. A free day to pick out the perfect outfit, wear it, take it off and pick out three more that are just as good. A free day to relax, chill out and take a break from himself. This is what stretched out far in front of him. Hours of uninterrupted crossdressing. A free day. Sam woke up earlier than he usually ever would on a Saturday. He had planned to meet his oldest friend, Donnie, today, but they had put their plans on hold till Sunday. They had no real plans anyway. Just the kind of vague ideas friends comes up with for a lazy Saturday. Sam's new plans were much more appealing to him. He first headed to the kitchen. As giddy as he was about the prospect of a whole day dressed up, he knew breakfast was still important. Something light, he reasoned. Something a lady concerned about her figure might eat. Yogurt and a banana. Perfect. Sam had never known why he had begun crossdressing. As far as he could tell, very few did. He had heard stories of domineering girlfriends forcing it upon their men, of discovering a taste for it after a Halloween party, of women stuck in the wrong body. All of these seemed alien to him. He just started because he did. That was the only reasoning he could ever come up with, as unsatisfying as it was to him. While laying out his makeup for the day, Sam felt the familiar relaxation that came with dressing. For him, crossdressing was stress relief. A chance to throw off all the worries that came with his job, his love life and his social life. It was a chance to be a new person for even a short while. It was the chance to be someone confident, sexy and free. Sam was none of these. He figured a lot of crossdressers felt exactly the same way. As he applied a thin layer of foundation to his face and shaped his brows, something he had been doing for years now, his mannerisms shifted ever so slightly. His knee cocked as he leant over the bathroom sink, straining to push every last hair on his brow into place. He daintily lifted the eyeshadow brush and stroked it across his face, expertly blending light and dark tones into a smoky eye look. Sam knew he wasn't transgender. He knew he wasn't a girl trapped in a boy's body. Any time he tried to spend more than a day dressed, he found himself unable to do it. He was a boy, and after a while he always needed to be a boy again. But he had recognized the change in the way he held himself as a girl. He was aware of the slight swing in his hips when he walked, of the way he held his legs together when sitting, of the pout he found himself currently displaying as he slid the slick lip gloss across it. He knew he wasn't transgender, but he knew when dressed he felt like a woman. Sam looked over at the outfits he had set out for himself. He stood there, hands on hips, wearing just a bra that he could only pretend to fill. He had become a dab hand in the art of padding. All three of the outfits would do. One black, one blue, one gold and sequined. They all complemented the heavy, dark makeup he had created. They were all short, tight dresses. His deliberation didn't take long. He was a sucker for a little black dress. Just the kind he liked, miles away from the bland, functional clothing he wore as a boy. Sam had always dressed somewhat provocatively. He loved the slight constriction of a tight dress, and the way his legs looked in high heels and short skirts. He figured it was all part of becoming that other person. The slight tap of the heels on tiled flooring as Sam entered the kitchen made him smile. He loved that sound. He loved that he was making that sound. He brushed a long strand of blonde hair from his wig off his face as he bent down to check the fridge. It was lunchtime. Time for food. Something light. A chicken sandwich. Perfect. Sam grabbed the ingredients and laid them out across the counter. He looked out across the New York street from his window. When he had first moved to the apartment, Sam had made an effort to close all the curtains so as not to be seen. He was terrified of being found out. Of having this relaxing and personal pastime exposed and stripped away. That was over a year ago now. By this point he had stopped caring. He knew on some level just how good he looked. He had pictures, videos, and comments from people online confirming it. He knew that anyone looking in through the window wouldn't see a boy in a dress. Just a girl. A girl with too much makeup and wearing a very short dress for a Saturday afternoon, but a girl all the same. After lunch the camera came out. Sam couldn't pinpoint exactly when he had begun to take pictures of himself, but he knew it was one of the more fun aspects of dressing up. The chance to pose and pout and achieve a look that was even more sexy and confident appealed to him greatly. He also knew he loved to be looked at. To be seen as a sexy, confident woman. He guessed in some ways it was a chance to push this side of himself out into the world, without having to risk actually exposing himself. It was safe. Despite this, he had often thought about leaving the building dressed. The idea of being outside in heels and a dress and makeup was exciting and terrifying in equal measures. The furthest Sam had managed was opening his front door and stepping out into the apartment block hallway. The slamming of a neighbor's front door just a floor above him had sent him scampering back inside. He had not attempted it since. Still, there was a part of him that wondered. Sam checked the camera, scrolling through picture after picture of himself. He looked good. He knew he did. No one could have guessed the girl throwing her hair back, biting her lip and standing prone on all fours in these pictures was a boy. Sam smiled. The loud knock at the door wiped the smile straight from his face. He froze. The knock rang out again, louder than before. Sam edged slowly towards the hallway, taking care to not make a sound. He held the camera close to his chest. The door banged again. From the other side a deep voice rang out. "Sir. Mr. Sam Simons. Can you please let us in?" Who's Sam caught himself before he could finish. He cringed and held his head in his free hand. What had he done? Not only had he let whoever was out there know he was inside the apartment, but he had answered in a voice that was definitely a man's voice. "Mr. Simons. Is that you? This is the NYPD. Fuck," Sam whispered to himself. The police? Why were the police here? He frantically racked his brains to think of anything it could be. He kept a little weed in the drawer in his wardrobe. He had a small unpaid parking fine. A stupid, irrational part of his brain even questioned whether crossdressing was illegal. Another loud knock at the door brought him round. "Sorry. What is it? What do you want? Can you just open the door, sir? What do you want? We have reason to suspect you are in possession of a large amount of illegal substances. We have been authorized to search this flat." A large amount? He had one small bag, enough for 2 spliffs at most. "I think you've made a miss," the voice on the other side of the door interrupted, louder and harsher than before. "If you do not open this door, we will be forced to break it down." "What?" "We have been authorized to search this apartment. We have been authorized to break down this door if necessary, Mr. Simons." "What? No, please D. I will give you to the count of 10 to comply. If you do not open the door within this count, I will break this door down." 10. Sam dropped the camera in shock. What could he do? He was stood there in his shortest dress, with full makeup and a wig on. The officer knew he was a man. 9. If he opened that door, he would be exposed. 8. If he didn't, he would be exposed anyway. 7. He didn't even have that much weed. Why was this happening? 6. Why didn't he just leave the apartment today? Why did he stay, and why did he crossdress today of all days? 5. Sam tried to catch himself. He forced his breathing to slow, but his heart and his mind were racing. Maybe the officer wouldn't care. He was NYPD. He has probably seen a lot weirder things than a shy crossdresser. 4. He's probably had training in what to do in this situation. He probably has to be mindful of other people. It's part of his job. 3. Mr. Simons. There wasn't a large amount of drugs anyway. The officer would come in, see that there was no issue, and Sam would get a slap on the wrist. He'd show the officer where the weed was specifically. He would be in and out in 10 minutes. 2. What other choices did he have? 1. Wait. I'll open the door. Sam braced himself. Perhaps he had been too late. He fully expected the door to fly off its hinges as NYPD stormed in. It never happened. Quickly, Mr. Simons. The voice was impatient and angry. Sam took a deep breath in. His heart was pumping so hard he could hear it in his ears as he approached the latch. He cursed himself for not renting an apartment with a looking hole. The sound of the chain was as loud as it had ever been as he pulled it across and let it swing down from the door. Part of Sam wanted to run. To go and hide in the bathroom. To rip off the wig and wipe away all the makeup and hide. It took a lot for him to ignore this part of himself. Instead, he reached up for the handle. With his free hand, he smoothed out his wig and his dress. He didn't know why. The door slowly creaked open. The hallway was empty. Sam stood there bewildered. Staring back at him was nothing but the blank wallpapered drywall across the hallway. The only sound was the heart beating inside Sam's chest. He shifted nervously in his heels. Gotcha! Sam slipped back from shock, his tall heels catching on the wooden floorboards. He fell hard on his backside, his short skirt riding up to reveal his lacy, black underwear underneath sheer pantyhose. He hit his head on the wall behind him, sending his blonde wig off at a strange angle. He sat there in stunned silence. It felt like he was going to have a heart attack. Through the blonde haze across his eyes he could just about make out Donnie, his oldest friend, stood in the doorway, his smug grin slowly shifting to that of utter horror at what was in front of him. What the he began to say. Fuck, whispered Sam.